All right, in this video, we're going to talk about how to investigate your attribute table and figure out what data types you have and how to base your join on the correct field. So we have two data sets here. We have our geography of US states, where we can see we have several columns, several ID columns here. We've got our state USPS abbreviation, we have a name, and we have some area data. You can see, let's start investigating this table to see what we have. We've got a name of the states, which is text, and it's pretty obviously text, but the other way we could figure out what type of data it is by looking at how it's justified. So in our name field, all of our values are on the left side, so it's left justified. So anything left justified, such as the USPS code, and all these GeoIDs are actually inputted as text or coded values into our attribute table. So these values that may look like numbers are not stored as numbers. Because they're coded values, because they're ID fields, you shouldn't be doing math with them anyway. On the other hand, we have our area data, right justified, so the opposite side of the field than your name field, say they're on the opposite sides, tells us those are numeric data. So those are the ones you could use for math if you wanted to calculate population density later. Okay, so we want to join our population data. These are just the geographies. We want to know how many people live in those states in 2010. So let's look at our non-spatial attribute table. So this is not displaying on the map. This is just an Excel file that I imported. Here we have 4 columns. We again have 2 ID columns, a geography with the state name, and the total population. So maybe one of these ID fields would work. We could go back to our states and say, okay, do we have any 1 to 2 digit ID fields? And you could look through and find these 2 fields, GeoID, let's sort them, the GeoID fields, and think, oh, maybe they'll work because it's 2 digits. They all look about right. They look the same as these. But when you do more investigating, you'll notice that this ID field is right justified, opposite of our state field. So we know those are numeric values. So that won't even be an option. If you're trying to do this join, it won't prompt you to do it because the program reads them as different data types. So if we try to do a join basing it, let's say, on that GeoID to that ID2, it won't even be an option. We'll just have that other ID field and the state name, which will, if we click validate join, it'll tell us that there are 0 matching records. So not going to work. Okay, let's think about this ID field. This one could work. It's left justified, so we know it's text. It appears to be the same values as our other table, and it's also left justified, so it's text. So let's try that. So I am joining to the AF GeoID field. We are choosing that ID column from the population attribute table. Now, I know in this example, I have the geographies of several outlying islands that I don't have the population data for, so I'm just going to keep only the matching records. So if I click on Validate Join, it will tell me there are 52 of the 56 records that are matching. So I know that's including DC, or it's including Puerto Rico and somewhere else, maybe DC. Definitely DC. And for the outlying islands won't be counted. And I'm okay with that for this example. So we keep only matching records. Most of our records are joining. We can click OK Join. If we scroll, so this is our states data, and we scroll all the way to the right, we'll start to see our ID field, our geography, and our population data. We could also base the join in this example on the state name, geography, and the name field. Even though they have different field names, they still would work because they are the same data type and the values are exactly the same. So we could have done that if we wanted to. The next thing is to export your data so you have it later and save it as its individual shapefile so that join becomes permanent. So let's rename it. And it will be added to our files and added to our map. You can't really tell the color changed, but it did.